Am I really hearing, first of all, from you, Myron, that he was joking when he said he beats up women? Ha ha, I beat my wife, Bianca, and that's funny. What is funny about beating up a woman? What is funny about threatening violence against a people who in the lifetime of my mother were gassed at a rate of 10,000 a day?
32 million people were seeing a very high-profile rap star boasting about being a Nazi, boasting about loving Hitler, boasting about wanting to, or ordering people, instructing them to make Jews be their slaves and whip them, saying that bitches deserve to get slapped, trying to sell t-shirts with domestic crimes on them.
Piers Morgan had a panel of people on his show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, to talk about Kanye's recent anti-Semitic tweets, posts on X. I don't know what they're calling them now. I don't really care. And I've done another video on this where everybody sort of laid out their particular case. As usual, he has a spectrum of people with opposing viewpoints. In this one, I wanted to do this clip as well. It gets pretty heated. They do talk about a variety of things, but I'm going to have opinions as we go, and then I want to know what you think in the comments, but let's jump right into it.
But he was literally trying to sell a t-shirt which had imagery of his friend Diddy involved in a criminal act of abuse against a woman. Literally, that's what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's America.
Well, hang on one second. Just to be clear, though, Myron. Just to be clear, Myron, you think that was acceptable?
Again, capitalism is capitalism. Do I agree with it? Do I like it? Maybe not. However, I will support his ability to do it because he's obviously marketing things. He thinks maybe he has some dark humor that he wants to do where he thought that was funny. But the reality is that this is America and capitalism is a thing here.
So when Elon Musk, hang on one second. I'll come to all of you. So just to be clear, Myron, when Elon Musk replied yesterday to someone on X and said that he was now being censored for the legal pornography that he was posting, did you agree with that?
Well, I don't like pornography, but again, it is legal. There's a 3-part test in America with the Miller test to see if it suffices, and you can make the argument that it didn't cause any issues as far as...
So Elon was wrong to censor him?
With pornography?
Yes.
Well, again, I don't like porn. I don't think it should be on X at all, personally.
Okay, so you agree with censorship?
For pornography.
Right, but just to be clear, you agree with censorship?
No, I agree with pornography not being on X. I think it needs to be contained in a certain way.
But it's legal. It was legal what he was posting?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I don't have to like it or agree with it.
But what about his free speech rights to post it, if he wants to, if it's legal?
Well, that's a whole other thing. I think with X and pornography, there needs to be some kind of middle ground where, if it's going to be on X, there needs to be a way where it's not necessarily on the main feed, but that's a whole other discussion.
So you agree with censorship, don't you, Myron? I mean, for all your chat on Twitter to me yesterday, you actually agree with it.
To compare censorship of pornography to censorship on political speech or
so you think saying that you should treat Jews like slaves and whip them, or bitches deserve to be slapped, that is not, or try to sell a t-shirt of a domestic crime being committed, you think none of those things are worse than posting legal pornography?
Yeah, I find it interesting that you're, harping on this, but there's people that monetize murder and death all the time in the hip hop industry. There's people that
I don't agree with that either.
When Piers Morgan does this gotcha kind of stuff, it really gets under my skin because I think it's not usually I think it's generally in bad faith. But in this case, because this guy, Myron, is pivoting to this whataboutism, I think it's really interesting.
Well, I'm sorry?
I don't agree with that either.
Exactly. You don't have to agree with it for it to happen or for it to be allowed.
No, I'm curious why you think only the pornography, which was legal, to be clear, should be censored. You didn't think any of the other stuff should be. What's the difference?
Pornography and political speech? Completely different.
No, pornography and saying that Jews should be whipped and treated as slaves.
Well, that's speech. I mean, if he wants to say that, you know what I mean? I don't have to agree with it, but I think if he wants to say that, he should be able to say that. I mean...
So again, consenting adults having sex and posting that is not acceptable, but treating Jews or saying Jews should be slaves and be whipped, that is acceptable for you?
Speech, you cannot conflate speech with pornography, Piers.
Why not?
I see what you're trying to do.
Why not?
They're not the same whatsoever.
Why aren't they the same thing?
No, they're not.
Why not?
No,
Explain why the difference.
Because in order to allow speech in, you need to allow all speech in so that people can come in and be able to have ideas, right? We need to
What's
get into
wrong
the
with people having sex?
But if you're going to go ahead and say, oh, yeah, let's go ahead and conflate that with pornography. Well, there's nothing really to debate there, any real discourse that could be had with pornography of watching people have sex. It's not the same whatsoever. And to try to conflate the two is ridiculous.
Why? One is legal and the other one is actually illegal. To treat people like slaves and whip them would be illegal. Actually, legal pornography is legal.
No,
so you're in favor of censoring something that's legal, but you're not in favor of censoring something that's illegal. I find that fascinating.
Yeah. Him saying that is actually protected under the First Amendment. Hate speech
actually,
is protected under.
That's the point. It's not. You don't even know. You don't know enough about your own First Amendment. I seem to know more than you. Although, just to be clear, I have a house in America. When I come to America, like anyone who comes to America, you are automatically protected by the First Amendment as well, right? So I know a lot about the First Amendment. The First Amendment actually bans a lot of things, including incitement to violence, incitement to violent hatred.
Anyone that was looking at his tweets, right? Anyone that was looking at his tweets that has any level of common sense understands that it's dark humor, understands he's trolling, it's marketing. He doesn't really mean
nothing funny about it at all.
No.
This is another argument that the right makes about Donald Trump. It's like any reasonable person understands that it's a joke. That's not true. That's not true at all. And it's not intended that way. And it's clearly used as an excuse to get him off the hook. Oh, come on, you're misinterpreting it. You know, that wasn't a Nazi salute, right? I mean, it's gaslighting.
Let me bring in Zuby. You've been watching very intently, Zuby. I mean, look, I think what we've just established with Myron, with respect to him, is that when you try and be a free speech absolutist, it gets very complicated very quickly. Because I can't for the life of me, and maybe you can articulate it better, but I can't for the life of me understand why Elon Musk, with his action yesterday, censors the legal pornography, and by the way, I agree with him. He should have done that, but that he doesn't censor any of the blatantly illegal things that Kanye was spewing. Notably, the fact that you should treat Jews like slaves and whip them. That is actually a crime in America. To encourage people to do that, to incite that level of. Well, hang on, Myron. I'm going to Zuby here. It seems to me that once you get into absolutism about this, it just gets complicated very fast.
Yeah, you're right. Look, it does get complicated, and the reality is that different people have different lines. Different nations have different lines. Every single country has different laws when it comes to freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Even things that are graphic, visual things like pornography and so on. Some people will say that falls under freedom of speech. Some people will say that it doesn't. Going beyond that, though, this is all happening on a platform. And social media platforms have the right to set their boundaries where they want the boundaries to be. On Facebook and YouTube, for example, you absolutely cannot post pornography in any form. However, on X/Twitter, for whatever reason, throughout its entire history, they have allowed that. A lot of people oppose it, but for whatever reason, they let that go. So the truth is, ultimately, we can discuss the First Amendment, we can discuss laws in different countries, but I think in this particular case, the question is really about X and the X policies and what is enforced and what is not enforced and what crosses the line and what doesn't. I would absolutely say, look, I don't even think I saw every single thing that Kanye posted. I don't use X on Sundays. But from what I saw, the vast majority of the posts were certainly egregious, but they didn't cross a line outside of what is within the bounds of the First Amendment. When it gets to something like calling for violence, I think that's pretty clear cut.
Yeah.
So from what I saw, there were probably like 3 or 4 tweets.
Yeah.
Maybe two, somewhere between 2 to 4 tweets that crossed that line. So I'm not going to sit here and defend Kanye. I will defend the principle of free speech. Like Myron said, I don't think that pornography should be on X anyway. I think that's a whole separate conversation. So I think I can say that I think a lot of what he said was wrong, and I can be very critical of it. But the vast majority of it, I would not say is ban-worthy. However, there were a couple posts where he did cross the lines, and it's up to X how and when they enforce that.
Yeah, and Rabbi Shmuley, I would say that I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, and I'm a big fan of his free speech defense, which I think he's been very proactive in. But I think he's discovered it is very complicated sometimes, because there's no doubt to me that if any ordinary person had been spewing what Kanye was spewing, they'd have been suspended very quickly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The rules do not apply equally to everyone,
as they would be on any social media platform. And what struck me as astonishing, I even directly posted to Elon saying, can you please do something about this? This guy is doing this with utter impunity and quite deliberately testing your limits of what free speech are. And the truth is, there are limits. That's why the First Amendment has limits to it. You know, and that's why you've got to have some limits. Otherwise, people do what Kanye West did, which, by the way, he was doing it to 32 million people, Rabbi Shmuley. So 32 million people were seeing a very high-profile rap star boasting about being a Nazi, boasting about loving Hitler, boasting about wanting to, or ordering people, instructing them to make Jews be their slaves and whip them, saying that bitches deserve to get slapped, trying to sell T-shirts with domestic crimes on them. All of this, I thought, was just completely outrageous, and not a matter of free speech, but a matter of somebody literally spewing violent and criminal rhetoric.
I also like Elon Musk, and I'm very grateful to him for having gone to Israel right after the October 7th attacks, being escorted by the Prime Minister of Israel himself, Benjamin Netanyahu, to see the women that were raped, that were beheaded, families that were burnt alive. I was there 1 week after the attacks as well. But I also agree with you that this is absolutely unacceptable. I saw your tweet, Piers, and that's why I wanted to come on the show. You know, Zuby, and wait, just a second. Zuby and Myron, you seem like very decent guys. So
Myron, you can respond to it when he's finished talking.
Let me speak. I believe respectfully that this interview will live in shame for the two of you for the duration of your careers. Am I really hearing, first of all, from you, Myron, that he was joking when he said he beats up women? Ha ha, I beat my wife, Bianca, and that's funny. What is funny about beating up a woman? What is funny about threatening violence against a people who in the lifetime of my mother were gassed at a rate of 10,000 a day and turned into ash? This interview, respectfully, will be on your highlight career, living in infamy. It is not funny to murder 1.5 million children. It is not funny to rampage through the Jewish community surrounding Gaza, beheading Jews and non-Jews, including Thai workers with spades. I saw their beheaded bodies. For God's sake, there's real consequences to this hate. There used to be an alliance between the black and Jewish communities, knowing that we were hated for no reason other than the fact that we were different. I ask you, Zuby, you believe in free speech completely? If I'm David Duke and I'm saying, you know, in 1964 in Birmingham, Alabama, we blew up churches, the Klan, and we burned 4 young black girls alive. Let's go do it again. Let's organize it. Sunday, this coming Sunday, 3 o'clock, we're going to burn those black girls alive. And you're going to say, well, he has a right to say it. Give me a break. What you're going to say is that this man is a disgusting, filthy, excuse me, a disgusting, filthy racist. Now, wait, now just a second.
Go for it.
Kanye did not incite violence. He confessed to violence. He said, I beat up women. And Myron, who the heck are you to say that he didn't mean it? Do you have evidence? You mean he's lying and you're telling the truth? We saw what happened with Diddy. And by the way, the only person here with any dignity in this debate is Choke No Joke, who's saying that this is offensive to black men. Do you guys not understand this is feeding every stereotype of black rappers? I love the black community. The greatest American of the 20th century was Martin Luther King, who died so that people could have dignity. But that's not what a lot of people think. A lot of people think that rappers are into using the word B-I-T-C-H-E-S, and Kanye says I'm a billionaire. And Choke No Joke comes along and says this is offensive to the stereotypes of black men. And it is. And you guys are frickin' defending this. I want to be clear. I'm sick of antisemitism. I'm sick of racism. There are white racists, nationalists who hate black people. Some of them are around President Trump, even though I think he's a great friend of the black community, but he has those voices. We have Tucker Carlson.
man.
Tucker Carlson denies the Holocaust, and yet he's in the president's ear. He denies the Holocaust.
All right,
Please stop defending hatred.
Okay, I want to come to joke, no joke in a moment, but I think it's only fair and right that I go to both the people you've just spray gunned and get them to respond. So, Myron, your response to Rabbi Shmuley.
Yeah, again, I find it incredible that he's over here so critical of Kanye West, right? About, oh, he beats his wife, whatever. Meanwhile, you're walking around with a war criminal that's killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people, bombed them indiscriminately, etc. I find it very interesting that you're so hardcore on Twitter about some tweets that may or may not have been a joke, more than likely a joke. Anyone that has common sense, sarcasm, dark humor, etc., versus you're running around with someone that's literally a war criminal wanted by the ICC that's killed tens of thousands of innocent children, right? And then you're over here calling for censorship. I'm tired of anti-Semitism. I'm tired of racism. People like you are the fucking problem, because here's the thing. Americans are tired of censorship. We're tired of being browbeat into being virtue signaling losers like you, who always sit there and try to rage people and say, oh, you go ahead and you provoke problems with people. I've literally seen you do this. You go up to people, you provoke them, and they tell you fuck off, and then you get mad and you yell anti-Semitism. Quite literally, what I want to hear is this. Rabbi Shmuley, until you can actually call people liars for what they say, no one cares about anti-Semitism anymore. You guys run around, use it for everything. We're tired of it. Stop trying to browbeat us and virtue signal saying, oh, that's anti-Semitic. How about this? When you can call someone a liar for what they're saying, then we'll start taking you more seriously. Other than that, you're a fucking dildo rabbi.
All right, Zuby, your turn.
Okay. May I respond?
You can reply in a moment. Zuby, to respond to you first. Zuby?
All right, I'm going to keep it calm. I'm going to take the high ground here, because that was a heck of a lot of straw manning going on there, because you know that I did not support what was said. I did not support anything hateful. And I actually very clearly said that I don't support inciting violence. And in fact, that is a clear violation. So you can try to straw man my position, but people can listen to this interview.
You did say that. I heard you very clearly say that.
Freedom of speech means racism. It means anti-Semitism.
It doesn't. The trouble is, Myron, it doesn't mean you incite violence. That's the line.
Myron, I didn't interrupt you. Myron, let me interrupt you. Myron, let me respond calmly. Myron, let me respond calmly, please. This is speaking over each other doesn't serve the interests of the public, please.
I understand that, but I'm saying,
why don't you finish interrupting me and then I'll speak?
Okay, because you've been yapping the whole time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Myron, thank you, Myron. Thank you.
Don't talk over each other, because nobody can hear what anyone's saying.
Okay, Myron, thank you for showing your true colors. You believe that when Jews defend themselves against genocidal acts of violence, that we are the genocidaires. We Jews are never victims. You said that I provoke anti-Semitic attacks. I was recently attacked by someone while I was working on the acceptance speech of one of President Trump's cabinet picks, by the way, it's because he's a friend, did it as a favor, when a crazy Islamist came over and threatened to murder me. It was filmed, it was watched by tens of millions of people. You believe that Jews are never the victims of anti-Semitism. They are the they are the culprits of anti-Semitism. They're the culprits. We invite anti-Semitism. This is the oldest, you have to let me speak. This is the oldest anti-Semitic trope in the book, that we Jews want to shake down the world for money because we're money obsessed. You are saying exactly what Kanye said. Now, I wouldn't stop you from saying it. You're a Kanye supporter because you agree with this ideology, and I have no problem with you saying it, because you're not calling for me to be whipped. You're not calling for me to be enslaved. So you can say it. You are a Jew hater and you have a right to be a Jew hater. I agree with, because I'm a free speech absolutist. But Kanye West says, I beat women. His wife was ordered by him to strip naked. You're opposed to pornography and you support what he did at the Grammys to that poor, abused woman? Let me ask you, Myron, why don't you speak out against what Kanye did to his wife if you hate pornography?
Again, I don't like pornography. I don't support it, right? You don't have to agree with someone 100% to still be able to defend them. Like I said before, there's people that hold views that I dislike, but I'll defend their ability to say it because I have freedom of speech. Whether it's racist, it's anti-Semitic, or whatever else, term people want to use, I believe in freedom of speech, and that means protecting speech that you might not like. Also, you lied. You walked up to Sneeko, you tried to provoke him during the election night, and he ended up embarrassing you. So you do go up and try to instigate arguments with people, and then you call it anti-Semitism when they respond to you.
Okay, let me get a choke, no joke. Hang on.
Okay, well, this goes on. If you want to see the rest of it, you can go to Piers Morgan Uncensored and watch the whole video. But, obviously, emotions run high when we're talking about this stuff. There are people on other sides of the spectrum. This sort of devolves into ad hominem and whataboutism, and I don't know how much profit there is. At a certain point, people just sort of start venting and trying to land points against each other. But it is, it is a crazy time, and free speech is right in the center of it. So let me know what you think in the comments.